welcome everybody tonight. I'm going to host it. Lisa had family coming in, and they're staying in an RV right on their property there, and it was actually Dave's family, and they do that every year. And she said, I just want to be immersed in the the relationship with them. It's a sweet time. So that's pretty cool. And who else got something today that they want to share? And Rosemary, and that's looks like just about everybody.
Honey Bear?
Honey Bear didn't move, but I think it's a still.
Pull up.
She's out on the couch.
Yeah. Well, cool. Let's do some sharing first, and then we'll do some prayer and stuff later. How about that?
Okay.
Sound good? Anything other than the sharings people want to share? Is like life things that are moving fast. They can't wait till the sharing.
I have something I'll share.
Deborah.
I had my annual wellness exam today with Dr. Dove Pickholtz. I absolutely love that man. And my wellness exam was an hour long. When was the last time you spent an hour just chewing the fat with your primary care physician? I asked him, I said, am I your last appointment today? And he said, yes, you are. I said, well, I'm liking this. Like you're not rushing me out the door because you got 3 patients in the waiting room. It was just the most wonderful time. Such a blessing.
That's something.
Yeah.
We too have we have a primary, Rosemary found, that just spends time with you and just discusses and talks thing over. And that's amazing.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Love them.
Cool. Well, who would like to start their full sharing? 5, 6 minutes, whatever.
I will.
Rosemary?
Okay. Well, for my Wednesday night group, we just completed the book of Revelation. So it was a seminar, and we added 3 parts to it. The unique day of the Lord was one. The other one was the kingdom of God, paradise regained. That was 2. And the third one was the civil law. They were all teachings that were referred to or mentioned throughout the seminar. So I thought, well, let's add them, because if they were brought up, it's got to be pertinent information. So the last one we did was civil law, and I found it really fascinating. So there were some points that I really thought was neat, and I hadn't understood this. So in the Old Testament, if you had a debt and you couldn't pay it, we're going to just go with that crime. You couldn't pay it. You were sold into slavery for 6 years. Now, we all have heard about that, right? 7th year, you're let go unless you want to stay with the person that you'd been working with. But the facts behind it was the innocent was always protected, even though laws seemed to be harsh in the civil law, but it was to protect the innocent. And in this case, the person that was not able to repay or whatever the crime was, they didn't have prisons. The only places that had prisons in the Old Testament were ungodly countries. And the only time anybody was ever not sequestered, but held was because they had to talk through the components of what had happened. Okay. So no prisons. People didn't have to pay taxes to support people that were in prison that had broken the law. And in this way, the person that was wronged got restitution, and the person that had done wrong had the opportunity to kind of learn better ways. They weren't in a prison situation. They were a slave. They were considered a slave, but they could learn better habits during that time. And again, the innocent were protected. The innocent got restitution. The person that was wrong really had a chance to be rehabilitated in a much nicer surrounding than being sent to a prison. And I thought that was really pretty neat. I really didn't understand the background to that. Was anybody else aware of that?
I wasn't.
Yeah, that was really new information to me. So that was a real aha moment. And What also I thought was interesting about the civil law was that, like housing codes were included. So most people had flat roofed houses, but they lived up there too. But you had to have railing around it. So it wasn't up to you to say, I'm not going to do that. You had to do that. That was part of just living rightly so that everybody was protected. And you couldn't just, even fire codes, we can hear you. We can hear you, George. So that they had quarantines. If you had an infectious disease or something that was oozing or you were unclean for some reason, you were removed from society so you didn't get everybody infected. So the law was really wanted to protect everybody, but mainly the innocent. And let's see. Well, this was a one-liner I thought was really interesting. The godliness of a society depends less upon the form of government than upon the godliness of the people. I thought that was a pretty big statement. So, they didn't want you to have animals that if you knew that they were bad behaved and that they could possibly hurt somebody and not contain them, like the different penalties. If an animal got to somebody, but it had never done it before, you weren't at fault. There was a penalty, but not to you. But if you knew that your animal was dangerous to anybody that was in the vicinity, the penalty was more harsh because you knew it and you didn't do anything about it. So you were expected to really care about society and that, you took care of things. If you borrowed from somebody and it broke, if they weren't with you when it broke, you had to restore it before you gave it back. I thought that was interesting because we've all heard leave it better than you found it type of thing. But if you borrowed something in the civil law and the person that you borrowed it from was there when it broke, you weren't responsible to fix it. It's kind of interesting, so there was no, I broke it. You gave it to me and I used it for 5 seconds and it broke. That's on the owner. So anyway, it was just very interesting information. Of course, we don't worry about bulls and, goring anybody. Usually, I don't think anybody here has bulls and things like that. And we don't have sheep that somebody's going to steal. But really, when you think about it, it kept society safe and you were expected to maintain that. So I found the civil law very, very interesting. So, ta-da.
Did they have any HOA fees back then?
No, they did not.
Temple.
Pardon?
They
gave
gave
it
up
to
the
Temple.
temple.
That's right. They would have.
Hey, George,
Okay.
and Ted, how you guys doing?
Okay, thanks.
Good to see you. We got right
you.
into the sharing, so and the praying and stuff we'll do a little later. Well, that's neat. That's like the different kinds of exchange. The 3 different kinds of exchange were always even amount, except for if you get like for for goods, what it was worth, even exchange. For services, for what the service was worth, they would agree on it. The only other one was freely giving. And that wasn't a two-sided because when you freely give, God blesses you back. So isn't that God's way to always be watching out for everybody in this situation? Who else would like to
Yeah.
share?
I'll share.
Share's gonna share.
So I was going over my list that we all did in January about what I wanted to learn more about this year. And one of the topics was forgiveness. So this is what I came up with. Despite its prevalence in our lives, it seems that many of us have a mistaken view of forgiveness and its impact, not only spiritually and emotionally, but also physically. In fact, according to Johns Hopkins Medicine, forgiveness has a huge impact on your health. Whether it's a simple spat with your spouse or a long-held resentment toward a family member or friend, unresolved conflict can go deeper than you may realize. It may be affecting your physical health. The good news, studies have found that the act of forgiveness can reap huge rewards for your health, lowering the risk of heart attack, improving cholesterol levels and sleep, and reducing pain, blood pressure, and levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. And research points to an increase in the forgiveness health connection as you age. So a lot of that was new to me. I didn't realize that physically we could get that much healing from forgiveness. So I just went through some verses. Ephesians 4:32, be kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you. Mark 11:25, and whenever you stand praying, forgive if you have anything against another, so that your Father also who is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses. Matthew 18:21 and 22. Then Peter came up and said to him, Lord, how often will my brother sin against me and I forgive him? As many as 7 times? Jesus said to him, I do not say unto you 7 times, but 70 times 7 times, which is 490 times. And I really thought about that. And I don't know anybody who did something to me 490 times that I needed to forgive. So I'm way ahead of the game. Luke 6:37, judge not, and you will not be judged. Condemn not, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. And Colossians 3:13, bearing with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other. As the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive. So I was real blessed to see all that stuff that Johns Hopkins Hospital came up with on their research and what forgiveness can do for us. And so it's definitely a profit to us when we forgive others. Thank you.
Wow.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I guess that kind of segues into something I want to share. Because so I met a lady at the surgery place, and she's had some rough times, and I overheard her talking to the secretary there. So I got a little involved to talk to her, and I'm able to help her out with some things. And the other day, she's got all kinds of doctor stuff. She had a pretty big, tough surgery, but she's doing good. Her car broke down. Like, well, that's something that I don't really like working on cars anymore, unless I really have to. Well, unless it's like Charlie's car.
Mhm.
That was a little different. But anyway, it was to do an alternator. So I looked at it. I know I could do it. And she just had so many appointments. So for a few days, I'm running around. And finally, I thought, well, I found a good used one down in Cocoa, which is a ways away. Went down to get it this morning. Got to the counter, talking to the guy, reached for my wallet, and my wallet was on my desk at home. And I said, oh, no, I don't have any money. He says, well, I'll hold on to it. I said, I'm a long ways away. I may not make it back today. In my mind, it's hot already. I was trying to do it in the morning. Got up home, relaxed a little bit, got the wallet, and thought, well, she needs some other running around, so I might as well do it. Hello, Vanessa. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So I went back down and got the alternator. And when the guy came back, he says, well, I hope that's the worst part of your day. I said, oh, that's not so bad. It's a nice day for a drive. He says, from Mims? I said, yeah, you remember that? He goes, yeah, we take parts up to Mims. Go up, work on the car, get it all parts, wrong part. So I called him up. We went over the stuff. He says, oh, you just got to bring it back down to Cocoa, right? Put it up on the counter, and he says, how you doing? I said, oh, I'm doing fine. He goes, really? He says, you're soaking wet. I said, air conditioning went out in my car. He says, this is not air conditioning part. I said, this is for somebody else. He goes, oh, you're working for somebody else. He says, well, at least you're making money. I said, well, no, I'm just doing it for somebody that needs it. He goes, you one of them Christian people? I said, I guess I'm one of them Christian people. He goes, Tim, get out of here. Tim, come here. I got another one for you.
Oh,
So the kid comes out. He goes, all right, tell him what you just told me. And I said, I'm not what part. He says, we're expecting you to come in here all pissed off, and then we're going to do the blame game. Who got this wrong? So we're going to figure out who got it wrong, because I had a lot of information, this and that. And I said, I don't really care at this point. It doesn't matter. I'll get the right one. I want to get the right one. They get it out. Come to find it was marked wrong. It wasn't them. Wasn't me. It was whoever took it off apart. But he says, we thought you're going to come in here steaming because you're going all the way back and forth to MIMS. And I said, well, I'm actually doing the work a little closer than that and stuff. But he says, gotten a little conversation about Christian stuff. And he said, and I just want to be clear, I'm not a Christian. He says, but I can tell a Christian when a Christian walks in here. He says, the attitude is way different. And the guy, Tim, he's trying to point it out. Tim says, no, people are the same, this and that. So neither of them are Christians, right? In the course of the conversation is Bud. He says, I like country music. I heard this great Christian song the other day. So he told me the name. So I got that. I'm going to play that too. But it was the idea of recognizing people recognize that are not Christians, recognize what we're doing and appreciate it, which is pretty cool because that's a type of witness,
mhm.
By the way, I got the car going and it works better than mine.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin, you are so easy to forgive, man.
Takes one, my brother.
Any of you guys, speaking about Christians and non-Christians, I think one of the most incredible events that I witnessed this week, and probably some of you did, the Republican National Convention. It was absolutely amazing. And I've never been into politics. And of course, now in recent light of way things are going, I'm much more interested. But the New York Times even quoted the Republican National Convention as a time of fusion of faith and politics.
Wow.
Oh, Lord. And it really was very inspiring. God was mentioned every 5 to 10 minutes. God came out of every person's mouth at some point. Lots of praise to God, a lot of praise for him protecting Trump, and a lot of praise for giving people a more open mind to what God has to offer. One reporter was talking about the Republican National Convention had prayer breakfasts every morning. And this one reporter said you could sit and listen to all kinds of stories of personal miracles that God had performed in the lives of one speaker or the other. So the conversation was everywhere. I was particularly blessed with Ben Carson. He was great. He said, first they tried to ruin Trump's reputation, and now he's more popular than ever. Then they tried to bankrupt him, and he's got more money than he ever had before. Then they tried to put him in prison, and now he's freer and has made many more people free with him. And then last weekend they tried to kill him, and there he is over there, alive and well.
Wow.
It's just, and the other thing was that they did prayer before and at the end of each session, and Christianity was a big part of the convention. It got there's a lot of different reviews that I've gone through. I just put in on Google. I just went in RNC events and speeches, and I had to rehear some of them because some of them were very inspiring. I really love the hearts of these people. It really was quite a witness for God, and it was quite a witness for our country. And so it really, I was glued to it every session. As soon as one was over, I said, well, we got to watch tomorrow night, and we got to watch the night after. And because it was exciting. And I can't ever think of any time in my lifetime where I've ever seen politics and religion come together like this. And it's just absolutely amazing. A lot of good heart, good prayers. You can tell there are a lot of mature Christians out there too, and a lot of yay and amen when people prayed and talked about God and praised God. So I think God's going to get he's going to add to his family this year. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have some things to think about, and it's just absolutely amazing. I watched Biden last night with his address, and he didn't mention God one bit. And I think at the end he said, "Well, like they all do, God bless America, and God bless the USA." Oh, great, okay. Anyways, it was very inspiring. All of the speeches are all on YouTube, and they're just really good, solid, God loving people. I was very blessed. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Thanks, Charlie. That's great.
Yeah, it was really great. It really made you feel like an American, and it really made you feel like, yay, God.
Mhm.
Very cool. Who would like to go next?
Did you want
I will.
Okay.
Go
I'll
ahead, Deb.
follow. Who'd you say?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rita.
Okay. So I'm sorry, was there somebody else? Did I talk over somebody?
No, it's
No,
fine.
you're
Go
good.
ahead.
All right. So I just figured it was kind of appropriate for me to follow up after Charlie because we were both watching each night the keynote speakers and things like that, and texting each other and just commenting on things. And there was one point, it was so energized. I mean, I was just dancing around the house to the music they had going on. It was just I never had so much fun watching something like that. But while he's down there taking care of horses and the dog in the house down there in Port St. Lucie, I had quite a dilemma up here because just before he left, our lawnmower broke. And it has been raining almost every day. So the grass had gotten up to my boots go probably 3 inches below my knee, and the grass was above my boots. And so I really needed to do something because the gentleman we dropped our lawn tractor off with is still working on our lawn tractor. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable walking out in that grass to take care of my garden. So Prime Day came. My son reached out to me. This is how God worked. This is just a practical how God worked in the situation. So Amazon Prime has a special day, all these deals and all that. You're probably all aware of it. But my son keeps track of all that stuff. There was something he really needed. So he texted me in the morning. He said, "Mom, it's Prime Day. Is there anything you need?" And I says, "Well, and I don't carry a Prime account usually. And I says, "Well, as a matter of fact, the grass is so tall here. Charlie's down south. I've got to get this mowed. I don't have a mower. I'd really love to get a weed whacker, but I don't even begin to know what to look for, except for that I want something that's lightweight." So next thing I know, about an hour later, it wasn't even an hour later, he texted me back and he said, and he sent me a picture. He goes, "I found this one. What do you think?" It was 40% off. It was, it had all these extra parts to it. And it was not a string. I did not want a string. I hate those things. They break all the time. And it wasn't a string. It actually had metal blades. So I'm like, okay, I'll take it. So he quickly ordered it for me. It got here in 2 days. And I was able to, and it came, I sent Charlie a picture because it came in a little box, of course, all pieces. So I did need to put it together. But I have to tell you guys, God just blessed me so much because, I mowed the whole back lawn with the weed whacker. It's so lightweight, and it works so good. And so I was kidding around with Charlie, and I says, "I wonder what he put in lightweight weed whacker for women or something like that." We were joking around. But no, he just put in weed whacker and found that and ordered it for me. And it's got tons of extra blades and extra battery. So when the battery runs out, which the first time I used it, I cut just the top because the grass was so tall. If you try to get too deep, forget about it. So I had to cut little bits at a time. So I went through the 2 batteries the first time, but it took me a little over 2 hours to get the back done. Well, then we've had all this rain again. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try the wheel part of it. And there's parts where it's shorter, and it actually comes with, you could put wheels on it and use it like a mower. So I did that this morning. I did part of it last night, part of it this morning. I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is amazing. So I'm out there listening to my music, dancing while I'm cutting the lawn. I'm just It's so lightweight. I could not believe it. I'm like, best weed whacker ever. So I've mowed the lawn twice with the thing. It is, I'm not even tired when I'm done because it's so lightweight and it's so easy to use. And I was just so really, really blessed. God worked in my son to reach out to me, and it was just really, really awesome. But there's one other super blessing that happened amongst that too. I'll try to get through this one quicker to give everybody time. But I really needed a portable device to work my business on because both laptops have been crapped out for a while. So I've had nothing portable to do my business on. So I really wanted to get something like an iPad, but I didn't want to spend a ton of money. Well, here it was Prime Day again. So I just started searching on there, and I found one, and it wasn't a lot of money, but it was more than I wanted to spend, and it was relatively newer. But then Prime, because I don't have an account with them, they offered me $200 off if I signed up for the Amazon shopping card and temporary Prime account that I can cancel. So I'm like, sure. So I get this device. It was like $125, 10th generation iPad. And I was able to get it all set up, do work on it. I was like, oh my gosh. So God has just been doing all these neat little things to bless me, to help me keep moving forward and not spend a ton of money on stuff. And I'm so, so thrilled. And the highlight, guys, my son is so not into politics. With everything that he has seen, he's the one that alerted Charlie and I of Trump getting shot. He said, Mom, are you watching the news? Trump just got shot. I'm like, what? And I was down there with Charlie in Port St. Lucie at the time. Yeah. And so I quickly turned it on. But seeing that, and now he's got friends that are very involved in, you got to do your part, voice your opinion or don't complain. So, he's been hearing that more. So when I picked him up, we spent the weekend together last weekend. He said, Mom, I am absolutely going to vote. I get what you're saying now. I get that every person is important. We can't just say we're not important, because if everybody thought that way, so it converted my son to realize that every voice counts, including his. And that really, really blessed me because, that really blessed me. So 3 super blessings in the past week, you guys. It's just been incredible and more, but I won't share everything because then there won't be time for anybody else. So I love you all, and God's been good.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's huge when your kids waking up in an area that they hadn't before. That's huge.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Yes.
Deborah, how about you? You were
Okay.
ready to go for?
The governor of Tennessee has asked the citizens of his state to pray for our nation every day in the month of July. And that inspired Jack Hibbs, who is the pastor of a Calvary chapel somewhere in California. And he's on Facebook. I believe I sent you all the link at the beginning of the month and said, if you want to follow him, he's going to pray every day, say a prayer for our nation on Facebook. So I've been following along with him. And the other day before his prayer, he did a little sermonette on prayer. And I took some notes. I thought it was great. He said, Jesus Christ did not say, my Father's house shall be called a house of Bible study. That's not to, disparage Bible study. That's very important. But Jesus said, my Father's house shall be called a house of prayer. And so the rest of he talked about the importance of prayer and how we should make it a priority in our lives. And he said, prayer is not about getting God to do what we want. Prayer is always to get us ready to do what God wants. He said, Jesus Christ laid out his petition before the Father in Gethsemane, but he concluded his prayer with, but not as I will, but thy will be done. And another comment he made was Charles Spurgeon said that prayer and prayer meetings are the lungs of the church. So I just love that we are always so ready to pray. That's there's never a hesitation in our hearts to go before the throne of our Father. And I love our fellowship. We just do the word. So
Amen.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to share.
Beautiful. Wendy?
Yeah, I wanted to, on the segue from the prayer, got a text from John Ryan today. And many of you know Narala and Peyton. Peyton is going in for a surgery on Monday morning, starting at 6:30 in the morning. They're going to Shriners, and so ask for you to pray. She's having some leg surgery about a hamstring and some other term that I can't understand, but it might be tough on her. So Monday morning prayer for Peyton, please. And then for blessings from me this week, well, actually, it was last week, I found out that I was going to get a raise without even it being the annual review. So they did something in the department, the big organization. They went and did a bunch of job comparisons and title comparisons. And so they wanted to reduce from like, I don't know what the number was, like 250 job titles and categories down to like 40. And in doing so, I bumped up to another level, and they had to level me up to meet that level. So I'm getting a raise beginning August 1st. And then the annual raises and bonuses are coming out in October. So I'll actually get one, and then the regularly anticipated.
Yay, God.
Anticipated.
Love that.
So
Good
that
for you.
that
You
was
deserve it.
blessing. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then my friend Alex, who works with me, I had been encouraging him to watch the Chosen series. And at first he said, well, it starts off kind of slow. I don't really like it, but I know he doesn't like to read and he's a baby believer. So, and he's joined our fellowship once or twice, but nothing. Anyway, I said, I really encourage you learn about the Gospels, and he's part Jewish. I'm like, you learn about the Gospels and your heritage.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If you watch The Chosen, because it's like they're acting out the Bible. You don't have to read it. You're going to learn it by watching.
Mm-hmm.
And so he texted me the other day and said, I've watched all the series so far. I can't wait till the next season comes out. So, yay.
He's binging.
He's binging on The Chosen. I think is awesome.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hey, are you done, Wendy? I don't want to interrupt you. I
I'm
want to
done.
tag on to that. I donate to the Come and See Foundation, which is the organization that is responsible for translating The Chosen. And, I just had to listen to the audio over and over again because they kept saying they're translating it into 600 languages. Who knew there were 600 languages on planet Earth? I mean, come on. The most popular languages, they are doing overdubbing so they can watch it and hear it in their own language. But then in the other ones, they're just doing subtitles. But I just think that is amazing. They said that show is getting to parts of the earth who have never even heard the name Jesus Christ.
Isn't
And
that
so
amazing?
I just think it's such an amazing tool that God is using to spread the gospel.
That really is. Really is. Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're going through quite a spiritual awakening, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Need to.
Dan, were you wanting to share?
Yeah. This week I got an email from Spirit and Truth, and they send out a weekly email, and they talked about this new series they're doing on the Bible lands. And so I thought I'd play you one of those.
Touring Israel.
Yeah, touring Israel. And, when John was over there, they made some videos so that they could play them for us. And it's really neat. So let's see, I go share. I'm going to play the one about this pool of Siloam.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that a neat video? So
Yep.
got an introductory, 1 minute introductory, and there's four videos. We just saw one. There's 3 other videos with content. They're going to be putting out more, as time goes. So I think that's such a great thing.
It is.
Bless you.
Was that John's wife?
No,
No.
sister.
His sister.
Okay.
Yeah, his wife was in the other videos walking, but he never introduced her, you know. But yeah, that was his sister. They're in residence.
I watched Tom Nutt's teaching that he did with you guys a couple weeks ago. I missed it, but I watched that. And thanks for posting those videos, Dan. Those are really a blessing. And it was neat how he went over there and explained the Keystone and actually had some pictures that he had taken in Smyrna and some of the other places. I thought that was really fascinating too.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna get them done the next day, all those videos, so they'll be done. Excuse me, Rita.
No, you were finishing, sorry. I just have to say, I really enjoy how, I mean, each one of us brought something so different, you know, from our hearts to share, whether it's the word or something, how we got blessed. And as you were sharing that, Dan, I was just like, wow. Yeah, because on Wednesday morning, I was asked to host our group work meeting. And I was telling everybody how it's wonderful that we all have different ideas and bring it from whoever we're learning it from, and it's helpful for each other. And I was just thinking about that as we're sitting here. I'm like, well, that's exactly what we just did, but on a spiritual level, you know, and how wonderful it is because we each have things so different going on. It's awesome. And I wanted to just real quick, Kevin, because you were sharing different things you guys have looked at. Well, I had a conversation with somebody earlier this week that worships with a different group, and she's got so many turmoil things going on, and she called me up, and she was starting to deal with some fear because of the things going on politically in the country. And I had just listened, this is God's timing, I had just listened to this teaching on oikias, grace, God's aid in time of need. And what a perfect teaching with what's going on in the world today to just confirm and remind us God can do anything to protect his people. And so I shared that with her, and she called me up and she was in tears, so thankful that somebody just cared enough to do that. That was just so cool. So I won't go on and on because I know you want something. You want to share that music. So, but
great stuff. George and Tina, did you want to share anything? We didn't catch at the beginning.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
You know, we're just super blessed.
Oh, good. Well, I just said that so we get to hear your voice some more. All right. Vanessa, how about you?
Tina?
What?
She would jump on if she was.
She might have stepped away. I want to share that. Hey, Vanessa, do you have anything you wanted to share?
I didn't hear my name. I'm sorry. I heard another name. No, I am going to keep it to myself.
Okay. Well, you shared your beautiful face, so we like that.
Good things happening.
I'm going to play that song. Dan, you can be ready for that. The guy who was clear to say that he wasn't a Christian, but he does like this one country song, and this is what it was.
You have to share your screen.
Yeah, I got to do. I jumped up. Give me just a minute.
Who's the artist? Is it John Rich?
No, Alan something. Yeah. And here we go. Can you all see it?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I ain't gonna lie, yeah, I've sold some lies. Had too much fun on some Saturday nights. Pride gets the best of my hard head sometimes. My straight and narrows got swerves. Grace isn't what I deserve. No, I ain't a Sunday morning choir. I'm a dirty boots in the back pew backslider. No, I ain't easy to love more
No, that was that. This is short.
Mhm.
That's pretty good.
What's the name of that singer?
Just the kind of sinner that Jesus saves.
I think so. And
What's his name?
let's see if I can.
Hmm.
It's okay.
Yeah. Doesn't show it here. It's Alan something.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. I was just curious.
Just search for the site, just the kind of sinner that Jesus saves, it'll probably come up.
Oh yeah. You know what? I just realized I took this off the. Oh well, that's right.
Or TikTok.
Yeah, that was a TikTok one. I took it off the video. I had to reboot my computer the last minute, and when I brought it up, this is the one I had saved. But anyway, that's cool that is a Christian, and the guy pointing out that Christian things going on, Christian people, and then this is one that he likes. Deborah?
His name is Cooper Allen.
Cooper Allen.
Yeah, it's on. I just looked it up on YouTube.
Oh, wonderful.